The experts that best communicate their culture and their vision to their potential clients are those entrepreneurs that we remember. I'm Shelby Jo Long with the Expertise Podcast, and here we explore the stories of those entrepreneurs to inspire you to think about how you can monetize your expertise.
Jason, thank you for the introduction. I'm Shelby. I'm Senior Vice President of the Strategic Advisor Board. I'm excited to be here. I usually speak quite loud, so if I'm on the microphone, it's going to be even louder. So a little bit about my background. On the Strategic Advisor Board, in this amazing group of professionals that help small businesses navigate those challenging solutions. My background, I'm a business communication consultant. I work in business culture, but then I also work in communication strategies. And I'm also a business communication professor at a college. I've been there for 16 years. So I'm really excited to have you all here today to sit in my class and get me started with the school year. I'm not going to make you sit through an entire lecture. I'm limited to 10 minutes, but I am going to talk about something that is really important in this whole idea of standing out in the noise and making sure that your brand and that your business is known to people and ensuring that you have those referral relationships. And it all comes back to your appealing to your audience. It goes back a little bit further than the ACA has been established, back into the days of Aristotle. Aristotle talked a lot about influence and how speakers connect with audiences and how we persuade audiences and how we make that connection. He talked about 3 ways that we can appeal to an audience. He talked about that emotional connection to an audience, using pathos is what he called them, speaking appeals, connecting on an emotional level with your audience to create that connection so we feel and we want to hear more of the story and we want to be involved in that. Talked about pathos. He also talked about logos, which is using the logical connection. Business owners like ourselves like to understand a process of something, and we like to understand the solutions and what happens, and we like that logical process and that logical step to understand what ROI can happen in our business or what referrals can happen in our business. He called those logos. And then we talked about ethos. Heard ethos before? Lots of ethos. We love talking about ethos because that's how we establish our credibility with our audience. When you establish our credibility with our audience, it's all connected together, but then your audience immediately knows that you're a good referral partner and a good person to have a business partnership with, but also you're somebody that they want to do business with in the future. So those 3 concepts, I teach human communication, small group communication, public speaking. Those 3 concepts are consistent in all of those human communication elements, but that's really what we're talking about here, is how do we become more involved and how do we create this community and how can we be a part of this community to help each other? And thinking about those concepts are a way to do that. We talk a lot about how to stand out in the noise and how the customer acquisition process, there's a lot of businesses out there that are online now because that's been the new way to connect with people. How do you make sure that your ideas and that your business is going to stand out against the next insurance agent, real estate agent, business coach? There's tons of them out there. And a way to do that is to tell your story. And that's what Jason talked about, how important it is to have that pipeline and to have that process set up. But your audience isn't going to get to know who you are unless you use story in that process. And that's a lot of telling about who you are and creating that emotional connection with your audience. Let your audience know who you are. If you're establishing a referral relationship in this group, it's great to have those stories. Great to tell them a little bit about your story and a little bit about your background. It's more important, especially when you're talking to your clients. And we're talking about that process of the acquisition process. But that client journey and that client narrative, what happens if the potential client is going to do business with you, if you can tell that story that they will experience and point to the results that they will experience if they work with you, then that's even a better way to create that emotional connection. You appeal on the logical level to your clients, and you appeal on the emotional level to your clients and the credibility level to your clients, because you know as a business owner what it takes to achieve those results. So just as a way to get your story involved more in that, and to think about the client journey and understanding the client journey. Particularly if you're in the service industry, some sort of professional service industry, that idea is really important. Telling your story is kind of hard, though. It's been challenging for me. I'm a recently published author, which, thank you. Thank you. My book became available just this last week. My publisher is here, Susie, if you've had a chance to meet her. My editor, Jennifer, is here. Rogue Publishing, I'm CEO of that company, which is an independent publishing company. And when Susie and I sat down to first talk about my story, I thought, I don't know if I want to tell it. Because there's a lot there, and it's very vulnerable. It's hard to be vulnerable, and it's hard to be open to that, and to open you open a relationship when you talk with somebody, and when you start telling your story, and then it's, I don't know, we get fearful of that. Excited to hear what COO Michael Sipe has to say about that after I speak. But it's creating that vulnerability and opening your story to your audience is a way to really connect. One way to do that is in a book or in your publications, in your brand. All of those things are connected together, and it's important to get your story out there so your audience can know about your story. I always had a challenge. One person I worked with a couple years ago, and he said, you have to be able to tell your story in 30 seconds. So a book is a lot longer than 30 seconds. But telling your story in 30 seconds, if you have that in your networking arsenal, that's a way to really connect with your audience. And you can tie your journey to the customer's journey, and then the whole acquisition process gets a lot easier, because then we create that emotional connection to the audience. So that's what I have for today. I'm excited to hear what Michael Sipe has to say about this. Michael Sipe, COO of the Strategic Advisor Board. It's a nice transition. So thank you all. Nice to be here. Thank you for allowing me to begin my academic year in a setting with a live audience. Strange niche of mine, but I was at Lewis and Clark College in Portland, Oregon, and the University of Montana is where I did my graduate degree. And then I've been at Rocky Mountain College for 16 years.
How about now? 1, 2, 3.
We hope you've enjoyed this episode of the Expertise Podcast and hope you're inspired to think about how to further monetize the expertise and the processes that you have in your own business. See you next time.